Okay, Simon, thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk to you about our Fresh project. We're going to start from the beginning, obviously. What is Fresh Project?
So Fresh Projects it's an online platform, and it's tailor-made and it's specifically targeted at the South Africa's consulting engineers and architects.
Yeah.
And it's really a platform that allows them to manage their fees, their expenses, their time on projects, so that they can be more profitable. It's in the context of South Africa at the moment, where there's a massive problem with fees that engineers and architects are earning, in the fact that they're being asked to discount and discount and discount, and it's really getting out of control. And a lot of these companies aren't actually profitable at the moment, they're not sustainable. And this is my personal goal in the industry, is that what's happening is we're losing a lot of good talent into other sectors because of the fact that we're not financially sustainable as an industry. So we can't afford to pay our guys what they deserve, we can't afford the bonuses, all that sort of stuff. So these guys are leaving and they're going to other industries. And what we're really trying to do is empower the managers and the owners of these businesses to make sure they're getting their fee right up front. Once they've got a fee, they're managing their costs on a project so that they actually make profits, and then they can invest back into the industry.
All right. So what is your background? I mean, how come you? What is your background? I mean, it's
a long journey that's got me here. So I'm an engineer, first of all.
Civil engineer.
Electrical engineer.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I've been working in the construction built environment industry my whole career.
Okay.
I went to the UK for a long time and worked there and learnt a lot about the industry there. And that's kind of also one of the things that started Fresh Projects. Is in the UK, they're 20 years ahead of us in terms of the industry.
Yeah.
And so then I was in the UK, came back, I did an MBA, came back to South Africa and was working for a big consulting engineering firm. And because of the MBA, they kind of forced me into this, not forced me, I moved into the managerial, financial, commercial management of the business. And it was through that I realized that there was no software out there that allowed engineers and architects to do that, and saw the opportunity and said, okay, let's go and start Fresh Projects.
All right. So your technical experience and combined with the managerial is what inspired you, I assume, to get into this.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's quite a unique, like you say, offering in that engineers are generally very good technically. And they don't worry about, or they don't want to know about the numbers and the admin, you know.
That's true.
And they ignore it.
Yeah.
And that's half the problem, is that because they're focusing on, and rightly so, focusing on making sure that the building doesn't fall down.
Yeah.
They're not as strong as other people. So if you go to a lawyer, he's going to say, thank you very much, that's 2,000 Rand an hour or 3,000 Rand an hour. And there's no argument.
Yeah.
And the engineer comes along and he's very embarrassed to ask for the money that he actually deserves. He's worked just as hard, he's studied just as hard as those guys, but they don't really...
and the risks are high as well, I mean, depending on what to do, but the risks are very high as well.
Yeah, there's massive liability issues.
Yeah.
And that's part of one of the sort of benefits of using Fresh Projects, is that we find if you are cutting down on your fees and you've offered a massive, so in the civil engineering industry at the moment, it's not unusual for a 70% discount to be offered. Just think about that. X is saying you should be charging this, and people are charging 30% of what they should be charging.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? It means they're going to have to cut corners to deliver that job.
Yeah,
when you start cutting corners, that's when problems happen.
Yep.
And that's when your liability can become a big issue.
Yeah, all right. So how, I mean, give us three things at the least that a built environmental professional could benefit from using Fresh Projects.
Okay, so I'd say the top three things are, first of all, we allow you to be able to work out what fee you should be charging on a job easily is. So when we say fee, most people still use fee scales as the starting point, and really that's about what discount can you afford. So the system allows you to very quickly work out what a job's going to cost you, and when I say very quickly, I mean 30 seconds odd to do this. So when, like I said, engineers are allergic to admin, we've very much worked on a principle where we make it very, very easy.
So it's not going to add into your admin.
Exactly.
So it actually lessens your
admin. So, and our philosophy is rather get it 80% right than not do it at all.
Okay.
And maybe you don't spend that time figuring that last 20%.
That's true.
But at least you've got something to work from. So number one, work out what fee you can afford, or what discount you can afford when you're bidding on a job. The second thing we do is very easily, and again it's a 30-second process most of the time, is to allow you to track your costs during the job. So to make sure that you're actually going to end up, whatever the fee is, whether you got it right or wrong, that you maintain your expenditure within that fee so you end up profitable. And then finally what we've got is a business intelligence layer, so you can step back as a business owner or a manager and look at your business and say, okay, which projects aren't or are making money, which clients should I be working for, and which clients shouldn't I be working for, and which employees are the good employees and which are the employees that need to help. So, and that's all automatic in the system, you don't have to do anything. There's live dashboard.
So it does help you as well monitor your staff and in the performance of your staff. Is that part of it?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, consulting engineering firms and architects and the sort of the target market we're in, they fundamentally sell time.
Yeah.
And that's the most valuable and the most expensive thing in your business.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that your staff are working effectively and efficiently, and the system definitely allows you to do that very easily.
Interesting. So who are your competitors? I mean, who else is doing, if not the same, but maybe something along the same lines?
So there is, so going back to how this all started is when I was working at this big engineering firm, there are systems out there that do a lot of this, and they cost millions and millions to implement. So generally speaking, you'll find your very big engineering and architectural firms have paid the millions for these systems, and they tend to be very complex and very detailed, and you have 3 or 4 people actually running them on a day-to-day basis and looking after the whole business. Smaller businesses and medium-sized businesses can't afford that. So there's generally speaking, they don't do anything. It's the fallback. So they're not they're using spreadsheets and all sorts of files all over the place, or not doing anything at all.
Yeah, sure.
So what we're trying to do is come into that, give them an easy-to-use, very cost-effective method of actually doing something. And there's a couple of other. So there's nothing. The other sort of benefit we try and offer is an integrated system. So you've got your timesheets, you've got your project planning, and it all automatically gets costed and put against projects. You can get other tools out there that do timesheets, you can get tools out there that do project planning, but then you still have to sit down and put all the data
together
and analyze how much time did I spend on this job, etc., etc. So we try and automate all of that for our customers.
So would you say your main target market is built environment professionals, but even smaller guys have access to your to your software compared to your competitors?
So we're not trying to compete with the big guys, with the other systems, big ERP systems out there. We very squarely are aiming at the small and medium-sized consulting firms. So generally what happens is a guy will start his own company, he knows what he's doing, and he'll hire his first employee, second employee, third employee. By the time they get to about 5 employees in the business, then he's just too busy to keep track of who's doing what. So we find from about 5 people onwards, they start to get interested in a system like this. All the way up to about 100 people in the company is really where our target market is.
I see, okay.
So it's
but I mean, as your clients grow, I mean, as you get this, your system is geared up to grow with them. I mean, as they grow, they'll start small, but you know, in 5-10 years time, hopefully they'll be big, and your system is geared up to grow with them.
And it's a symbiotic relationship in that if you're using the system, you end up being more profitable, so then you end up growing. So and we grow with the clients as well, so and they get used to the system. So it's very much we help them and they help us.
All right, okay. And from what I can gather, it's mainly for consulting firms. Is it up for construction professionals as well, or?
We've had a lot of inquiries from construction firms or contractors when they hear about the consultants using this. And we've had people coming to us say, please, can you adapt it for us? But at the moment, we're focusing on the consultants. Really what it comes down to is that the contractors and the construction firms deal a lot with materials. So there's a lot more detail. So there's a lot more management of not just time and to be honest, the system doesn't do that very well.
Okay. But I mean, you're not closing that door.
No.
In the future, you might look into getting
Yeah.
into it. Okay.
And like I say, we've already had interest from people. So as that grows,
All right.
we'll expand.
And is your system endorsed by any industry players or industry bodies? Have you spoken to them to get their
So we're dealing with a number of them. So the architects, so first of all Pretoria Institute of Architects, we're about to launch a program with them, and then that's actually grown into the whole nationwide. So SIA, the South African Institute of Architects.
That's good.
We're working hand in hand with them, and they're looking to endorse the product because they can see the benefit that it adds to their practices. We're in early stage discussions with CISA, and then very interestingly for us is in the UK markets, the Association of Consulting Engineers there has picked up on us, and we're going on a massive road trip with them this year to all their members, and they're promoting fresh projects to their members.
So this has gone overseas as well. That's good.
Yeah. So from May onwards we'll be overseas, and it's looking good.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. And cost implications. I mean, what does it cost anyone to do this?
So very much as the founder, the philosophy we've taken into this was based on my previous experience. So where we were working with this multi-million rand system that I mentioned before, I took everything about that system that I didn't want, that I didn't like, and we implemented that in fresh projects.
Well, that's what entrepreneurs do.
Yes, exactly. And one of them is the barriers to entry. So the reason why those products don't work in the small and medium firms is that it's just you're looking at 2 million rand to start, and that's
already a killer if you're starting off.
So what we've done is that we work on a subscription model, and we work on a per user license. So you can start using it today. You pay if you've got 5 employees or 10 employees. You pay for them.
Okay.
As you grow, you pay more. As you shrink, you pay less. And if you don't want to use it, you stop paying. There's no upfront costs.
There's no contracts.
There's no contracts.
Okay,
it's a month-to-month thing. So very much we're trying to make it easy for the small and medium firms to get going and use it without a big having to fork out millions to get going.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And it starts from as little as 100 rand per month per user. So it's really.
So it all depends on what you need, how much, how many people you have.
Exactly.
So okay, that's good.
That's. So where we're disrupting the market or trying to disrupt the market is on, first of all, simplicity and ease of use. So like I said, we're aiming to do everything in 30 seconds or less in the system, rather than spending hours and hours doing admin. And secondly, in terms of price, so we orders of magnitude cheaper than anything else you can do.
Wow. Well, that sounds good, and I think you're gonna do well. It's you know, talking to the people out there, I think this is a good product from where I'm sitting. I really think it's gonna work out. Do you want to share with us any other information that maybe we have left out on your business?
No, I think it's just the industry as a whole, like I say, is my passion. So apart from the business itself, which we're trying to grow, it's about trying to stem that loss of skill and talent into other industries. And I think at the moment there's so much uncertainty around the fees that our professionals are earning. And the costs that they have. We've got a skills shortage, so the actual labour cost of any skilled engineer is very high, and you've got that pressure, the upwards pressure, and then you've got the downward pressure for everyone asking for discounts on fees. And at the moment, there's actually, the industry as a whole is in a very difficult situation in terms of ongoing sustainability. And that's really where we want to try and help firms, is to make sure that they are being profitable, they're getting their fees right. And as a whole, the industry will now grow because we can then attract the talent. We can have smart guys working here. You can be inspired. You can do a good job, and generally we'll all be better off.
And if you let the built environment professionals, focus on what they do best, the technical ability. That's where they need to focus rather than worrying about fees and the admin side of things.
Exactly. So I spent, in my role as a commercial director at the previous company, I spent hours and hours and days just bashing my head up against engineers saying, please will you just do your timesheet, please will you just do a project, and they don't want to do it. They're allergic to it, to be honest. So we very much try to make it very easy to use, and like I said, the Pareto principle, rather get it 80% right than not do it at all.
That's true, yeah. Well, look, as I said, I think this is a good thing, and I really wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure we'll see a lot of you. We'll be talking to you when we do the construction guys as well. in not so far future.
Yeah,
All right.
and if things carry on like they are,
We'll definitely think about it. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Simon, thanks for your time, and yeah, as I say, good luck.